the presentation which was left yesterday for the Valli 1 of Adhyaya 2. And then we'll move on to today's schedule. Okay, so it was from 9th, right, Pongoji?
10th.
Was it? 9th was
Yeah.
not covered? We didn't discuss 9th. Okay, did I miss? I might have done something wrong then, I guess. Oh, Rashita ji, we didn't cover 9th. We forgot to cover 9th. So, okay, we will quickly...
I thought we did 5 to 9. That's what I've written, 5 to 9.
No, but I didn't, we didn't do 9th.
See, continuing the same idea that from which the sun rises into which the sun sets back is Brahman, fire emerges from the vital air. We talked about it.
Yes, but 9th is different, right? Agni, because from 9th there is a different sequence going on. So it's my bet. I should.
No. I thought it was 5 to 9 is. Sorry, I had to
It's
cover
one
5 to
theme.
9. So 9 is part of the same theme.
Yeah, true.
9th is Agnir Yatha Eko Bhuvanam Pravishtaha Rupam Rupam. It is actually part of 10th. It's okay. What we will do is I will request. We didn't cover it, did we?
I did. Remember Hubban spoke? That all I spoke only in 9th only.
But 9th is different. The meaning of 9th is different. The Hubbans.
Are you looking at some?
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
So this one, Yat Agnir Yatha Eko Bhuvanam Pravishtaha Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva. That is 9th. The 9th is a different, from 9th there is a different theme going on. So I was wrong. I should not have assigned it to you. It should have gone with Pongoji.
Adhyaya 2 Valli 1. 9 is Yatascho Deti Suryostam.
Samyatra Chati. That is 9th here.
You're in different chapter?
But I have this PDF. This is the PDF that I shared with you.
But are you in the right chapter though? Right.
We did Supteshu Jagrati, right? Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. Not in the right chapter. Okay. Yeah, we still have to go there. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Pungaji.
So we are not chanting, right? So I can just start.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is Valli, Adhyaya 2, Valli 1, and I'm going to talk up from verse number 10. So verse number 10 talks about Mahavakya mantra. It's a Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is talked about here. So this is how it goes. What is indeed here, that is visible as the world, is the same thing is there, invisible as the Brahman. What is there is same is here. He proceeds from death to death, who beholds here difference between Brahman and the world. One who sees plurality as if were, goes from death to death. So here it's talked about the plurality. Now, who sees the plurality, even though there is only one Brahman everywhere? The Ubadhi's characteristics are erroneously transferred to the Chaitanyam or Nirguna Brahman, thereby making Brahman as though Sagunam. That seeming Saguna Brahman is called Jivatma, which is very inferior, is the inferior version of Brahman, and therefore as good as non-Brahman. Thus, he sees difference between Jivatma and Paramatma in Egatma, wherein no such difference exists. As a consequence, he will go from death to death. So in the previous verse, we saw 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It was one consciousness expressed through Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, and Virat. And also in the body, it goes through 3 different bodies. So even though it's multiple, we have to see the egatva in all these. So if we gain this kind of knowledge, what will happen? There will be change of perspective from Veda Darshanam to Abeda Darshanam. When perspective changes, we travel from mortality to immortality, samsara to moksha. So if reflected medium is removed, if reflection is gone, basically there is only one original consciousness survives. Because of the medium, that's mind, we see the reflected consciousness as many. There is basically neither Jiva or Ishvara, which are relative empirical facts. So Yaha, I'm just going to Yaha Iha Nana Iva Pashyati. One who sees non-duality will always be secure. Whether I am secure or insecure depends on Veda Abeda Darshanam. It's a big revelation. Normally, whether we are secure depends on possessions, relations, bank balance. That's what we think. Security or insecurity depends on your perspective, vision of life, not what we possess. If we change the perspective, we can go from insecurity to security. So this one is a condemning, seeing that one who sees plurality goes through tragedy. That's what this verse is going through. Talking about. The next verse, verse number 11, basically it says the Brahmanyanam has to be gained with the help of mind. Mind alone this Brahmanyanam can be obtained. Then there is no difference here at all. By he who sees any difference here goes from death to death. That's what it says. What happens is seeing plurality is not a problem, but seeing it as real is a problem. And who sees plurality as real goes from death to death, and that is what is samsara. The Nana Kinchana Na Asti, it's a fact revealed by Upanishad. Its essence of Upanishad is no division, no plurality at all. Even though it's plurality we see, it's mithya. Division belongs to Nama Rupa. Substance is one. Like stuff of all ornaments is gold. Similarly, stuff of entire material creation is one non-dual consciousness alone, no plurality. Even now, there is no plurality, only Advaitam, if you remove the Nama and Rupa. So how do we reach Advaitam? It's an eternally obtaining fact. So it's what we have to do is dropping the notion of Dvaitam, is figuratively called reaching Advaitam. Reaching Advaitam is nothing but removing misconception. So how do we get that jnanam? Manasa eva idam aptavyam. Jnanam has to be got with mind alone. Don't dismiss the mind. Don't make the mind inoperative, non-functional in meditation and all. Mind is needed. All we have to do is, in the mind, we have to see the Advaitam. So when we say in some places in Upanishads, it says mind Atma is not known through the mind. And some places we say that my Atma can be known only through the mind. Is there a contradiction? So what the answer we have is, ordinary unprepared mind can't know Atma. Only qualified prepared mind knows Atma. So we have to understand that. With specifically prepared mind through Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and whatever the values, Atma is known. So if you gain Atma Jnanam, what will happen through the mind? You go from, if you gain Atma Jnanam, you travel from mortality to immortality, samsara to moksha. Next one, I'll talk about verse number 12 and 13. Again, it talks about Mahavakyam. It re-emphasizes Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. I think it talks about the Angushta Matra, size of the thumb, but it talks about two different ways. In the verse number 12, it talks about, it says the person, the Purusha of the size of the thumb resides in the middle of the body, Lord of the past and future, and henceforward fears no more. So whoever knows this Atman will not have any fear. That is what this one says. They'll attain the fearlessness. Madhye Atmani Dishtati, as though located in the middle of the individual body, in the heart. It indicates Jiva is witness of your thoughts, aware and an illuminator of all conditions of the mind. Basically, this Angushta Matra, this one is witnessing all your thoughts. What is this? What is the function of this consciousness? That is this. We talk about in the size of the thumb. It's illuminating whatever is happening in the mind, like external light, which illumines stage actors' movements. This light illumines all the thoughts. And light does not move. It's there everywhere, so it doesn't move. So what is the size? It's imagine the size within the physical heart as though size of a thumb is the size of jiva. That's only the as though. It's located in the body. What is the nature of this jiva? It's the same as Paramatma. It's consciousness, awareness, all-pervading principle. And Ishana Buddha Bhavya Shyashta. Lord of the past and future, because now it's the same thing all the time. Paramatma is controller of Srishti, Sthiti, Layam, and Jivatma seems to be limited because of the Upadhi. Really speaking, it is limitless Paramatma. Once I know I am not limited Jiva, but limitless Paramatma Chaitanyam Swarupam, what's the benefit? You become fearless. I'm not body, but consciousness obtaining in the body. I'm ever secure, deathless. That's what this mantra is talking about. So it is this consciousness, Yama is saying to Nachiketa, it is this consciousness which you wanted to know, Atma Swarupa. And then continuing this in verse 13, mantra 13, here it's again talk about the size of the thumb, this Atman. It's saying it's like a flame without smoke, Lord of the past and present. He alone is even today. So it's just not the past and the future. He's even now, he's the one today, and he'll be verily tomorrow. So what is the nature of Jiva mentioned here? It is the Jyoti Eva. Consciousness is comparable to flame, but without smoke. And Adu adhumakaha, without smoke, smokeless flame capable of illuminating everything. Consciousness is illuminating body, mind, and universe. Light is used in the technical sense because in whose presence things are known. Every sense organ is a light. So through eyes, we can see the form and color, and ear, we can see the sound, and skin, we can sense the touch. Mind, we can see all the sense objects. Consciousness, illuminator of mind in all three avasthas, waking, dream, and sleep state. So in absence of consciousness, mind is not known. Sense organs, mind is not known, and sense organs are not known either. Consciousness called Jyotishtam Jyoti, light of lights. Ishanaha, Lord controller of past, Bhuta and Bhavya. It's past and future. Jivatma is controller of everything as consciousness. Plurality is apparent, it's not real. There is a question like, I mean, we try to ask, after death, do I survive or not as consciousness? Yes, as consciousness, I survive death as in a sleep state without identifying with passive mind, body, and sense organs. Then it is 14, verse 14, mantra 14. It's talking about Abheda Darshanam. Abheda and Abheda Darshanam. Abheda Darshanam leads to moksha. Abheda Darshanam leads to more and more samsara. So one who holds attributes of objects different from oneself runs after them all the times. For example, what is that? Jivatma, if he sees that Dvaita Darshanam, it leads to, if he sees that Dvaita, it leads to mortality, sees plurality. And it's almost like, when you see the wave and water, it's a wave Darshanam instead of looking at seeing the water. So wave is frightened of destination as it reaches the shore, something like that. When you see the Advaita Darshanam, it becomes immortal and sees non-dual Atma, and I am Chaitanyam, no birth. So all those things related to Advaita Darshanam. So whether you want to look at yourself as a wave or water depends on your choice, because it's the same thing. It all depends on how you look at it. So peace is your choice. See yourself as Atma, then essence of creation, and be free. That's what this talks about. Again, we talked about Abheda Darshanam in continuing the next one, which is little different. So here what we see as Abheda Darshanam is one who sees oneself as the very same consciousness which is present in all the materials or bodies. It's like a one pure, where you have the pure water poured into another pure water becomes the same. So Atma, when it's pure, it becomes, who knows this, they become pure. So let me just explain this, how it becomes pure. How it is less like Jiva and Jivatma and Paramatma is there. If you remove the upadhis, like in the Jiva, you remove all the three bodies, and then in Paramatma you remove the prapancha, universe. Then the essence is a substance is one. So one Atma exists, and that's it. So both Jivatma and Paramatma, but the Shuddham. You remove the Upadhis, then it becomes Shuddham. Then without the medium of transaction, then it's the same consciousness. Jiva has to become purified with sadhanas. It's not physical event happening in time. Because Atman is everywhere. So it cannot travel. It's not like, okay, river goes to the ocean and merge. No, that's not how it happens. It's not the physical separation it's happening. Here, what do you mean by merger? Dropping notion. I am different from Paramatma. One day I have to merge with Paramatma. That's not the thing. So once you drop the notion, we merge into the Paramatma right now. So by how do we drop it? By right understanding. False notion is dropped. So we say, I was, I am ever will be Paramatma. So for who this aikyam happens? Only for a jnani, who is wise, who understands, and who is a wise person. This happens. So I am immortal, Brahman, and Karma Yoga is preparation for the wisdom, and culmination is Jnana Yoga. So this one conclusion is like Lord Yama establishes Advaita Darshanat Muktihi, Dvaita Darshanat Sansara. So that's what is talked about here.
I'll just quickly highlight the main theme as well again. So from 10 to 11, so all these mantras, as we said, that this whole chapter 2 is Mananam. So 10 and 11 is all these mantras are how we should contemplate upon oneself. So when we are sitting in the meditation, we can take one or two of these mantra, whatever we like, and we can just actually dwell on it. So in 10 and 11, it is mentioned how that the person who sees Nana duality, he goes from mrityu to mrityu. So he remains in sansara. And that Aikya is being told in 10th that whatever is there is here and whatever is here is there. So that two-way, tat tvam and tvam tat, that is being unfolded in verse 10. I won't go into very depth because I'll just speak the essence of it. And so the one who understands this duality as both-way duality, as the primary aikyam, he sees the reality. But one who sees Nana duality, he remains in samsara. The same concept is said in 11th. One who sees Nana duality goes from mrityu to mrityu. And then manasa eva aptavyam. This knowledge about oneself is to be gained by manasa eva, by mind itself. Like Pongoji said, that Upanishad itself says that mind is not able to, consciousness cannot be understood by mind. Then how do we say by mind? Then it is prepared mind. By a prepared mind alone, this knowledge of self and non-duality between self and Brahman can be attained. What kind of mind? A prepared mind. What is a prepared mind? Sukshma Buddhi and Agra Buddhi, that was being talked about in Kathopanisad. And how to gain that Sukshma Buddhi and Agra Buddhi requires values and etc. everything. So all that preparedness of mind is called for. Then verse 12 and 13, right? The same Aikya is again being talked about in different ways. And here again, that Aikya between self and Brahman. So, Angushta Matra Purushaha Madhya Atmani Tishtati. In both the verses 12 and 13, it points to this Jiva is felt where? In this body. How Angushta Matra Purushaha. So this is how Shastra talks about in Chandogya as well as some of the Shastras. They say that this consciousness, ultimately even in the meditation, where is it obtained, or where is it to be realized? In this heart. So as if a small space within the heart, a space of the size of that little thumb, as if it is there. It is everywhere, but that is where I realize. That is why it is said, Angushta Matra Purushaha Madhya Atmani Tishtati. Consciousness is there everywhere. It is not confined to our body, but this is where we realize our true self. The consciousness is obtained here. And then when it is saying about Ishanam Bhuta Bhavyasya, what is that? That is Brahman. That is discussing about Brahman, who is the master of the time. So comparing that this self, which is felt here as Angushta Matra, is the same as the master of time, means when one sees this Aikyam, that there is no duality between Brahma and Jiva and myself, there's that only one consciousness which is obtained here, is the consciousness which is the ruler of time, then there is no Vijigupsate. As we talked yesterday, Vijigupsate, two meaning, then there is no need to protect, then there is no need to for Dvesha. So this is the self that Nachiketas you asked for. And then same concept is there in mantra 13, except that Jyotiriva Dhumakaha, it points to the flame without the smoke, meaning it is without any ignorance, without any in the personality, without any likes and dislikes, and it is a steady flame. But essentially, it is a knowledge without the cloud of ignorance. Then what happens to those who look upon Nana duality that is being condemned in 14th? That how when the rain pours on a mountain, it doesn't collect, it disperses. So also the 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 jnanam. So also one who sees manyness of Atma, he also runs after duality and remains in the realm of birth and death. That is the essence of it. And then for that person who sees non-duality, for them what? So as Pungoji said, just as we one the pure water combined with the pure water remains pure, as water when gets poured in a reservoir, it gets collected. So also water remains water. It doesn't, the non-duality doesn't get shaken off. So also for this one who sees non-duality, he understands there is no difference between consciousness, and he is liberated. Okay. So having said that, we can now move on to the second Valli. And so second Valli, Rachita ji starts with mantra 1 and 1 to 8, right? Yeah. On to you.
Yes, I was on mute. Okay. Oof. Chapter 2, Valli. I've written 5. I guess if you think of 6 Vallis, then it's 5.
I have, yeah.
Verses 1 to 8. Okay. In the previous Valli, nature of truth, Brahman, which is subtler than the subtlest, was presented. Here, in the first verse, the focus is on how to separate self from non-self, using the imagery of city and the king dwelling in the city. I seem to pick up all good imageries: the chariot in the morning, the city in the evening. Okay. Why is this a good imagery, and how is this a good analogy? Let's see. Now, our body has 11 gates, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, the urine and the excretion organs, the center of the skull called Brahmarandra, and the navel. Okay, and in Bhagavad Gita they say 11 and 9. They don't mention about Brahmarandra and navel. If you exclude them, that's like what we say in Gita, but here they're including those, and so 11 gates. Now why are we talking about these gates? Because think of a city, especially in olden days. When a city was built, it had a fort around it and it had gates to protect. And at night time, they would shut down all the gates. The inside people in the city stay inside. They cannot go outside, and the outsiders cannot come inside. It's a way to protect the city. So now, similarly, this body is compared to a city which has 11 gates or openings. And at night, just like a city gets shut down in olden days, our body also goes to sleep. That analogy. Now, in the body also, when we go to sleep, all our openings are closed. That means smell, sound, sight, etc. All of these are blocked. No inference is happening. We are not absorbing anything from our sensory organs. They're all resting. They're all shut down. And nobody is entering the city or leaving the city, aka nothing is coming into the body or going out. During the wakeful hours, mind is going out using these gates, and at sleep, mind is also not going out anywhere. So not just the sensory organs, the mind, like we are not walking sleep, when in our sleep we are not walking, moving our hands, just not only physical organs but also mind is asleep. Now, similar to the gatekeepers of the cities gates, body also has deities or devatas who are in charge of these different gates. Now, mind is the minister who gives instructions. Think about the analogy. When you have a city, you have a king, you have ministers, you have an army, you have people. So similarly, if we extend the analogy to our body, now let's think of what the role for the mind is. Maybe the chief minister or the prime minister or the main right hand of the king, right? And who is the king then? The self is the king. So just like in an ordinary king's presence, in an orderly king's presence, all things are automatically happening, that take place, right? If the ruler is a good ruler, he has put things in place, he can be sitting on a simhasan easy and comfortable, but all things will still be taken care because he has people in charge of duties and things get done automatically. Similarly, in the city of body also, in the presence of Atma, the self, who is undimmed, who is eternal, who is unborn, all things are naturally taking place. Key is to understand that separation between the king and the city, the dweller and the city, right? The ruler of the kingdom, he is different from the city. A city may expand or shrink. The king does not grow big or he does not shrink, right? Just like in a real world. So similarly, in our body, whatever deterioration or superior nail polish, hair, growth, I got gain weight, lose weight, whatever can happen, age to our body, but the king's presence is always the same. It does not change. Thinking about separation between king and the city is this important fact here that I got. All activities are going on, all changes are going on, but the king is free from all these activities and changes. Similarly, whatever change and activity is going on in the body, the self is not doing that action. Self is not aging. Self is not changing. It's constant. Similarly, the body cells are dying, thoughts are changing. Yeah, not only physical changes, thoughts could be coming and going, likes and dislikes, whatever is happening, but the self is unchanged. The Atma Anatma Viveka, this Atma Anatma Viveka makes one free from all the grief. The one who is free becomes free. Swamiji was saying this is important. It said that the one who is free becomes free. He is already free, but he realizes that freedom and truly becomes free. Why? Because of the viveka, that the dweller is different. So, right, we are separating the self from the non-self. A lot of times we mush it together, and hence we get carried away saying, I am hurt, I am this, I am that. When you distinguish and say, you are not this body, you Atma and Atma Viveka, self and non-self, how you can distinguish, how you can focus on that is what's explained here using the city analogy. And then in verse 2, it says that the self is the self of all. Even though there are many cities, there is only one self who dwells in all the cities. So in the prior verse, in the example, we said, okay, here is a city, here is a king, and now you imagine your body is a city and your dweller is the self. Now, okay, then there are millions of people, millions of living beings, not just human beings. Is there a dweller? Is there a self? Is there a Brahman in every one of them? Are there many Brahmans? Is the question that naturally comes, and that being clarified here, saying, no, there are not many Brahmans, not one in each. The same Brahman, the same self resides in all the beings. He is the sun. He is where the two worship or the sacrifice is going on. Let me see, what am I writing here? He is among the human. Oh, okay. So it's the same Brahman. The same Brahman is in the sun. The same Brahman is wherever the worship or sacrifice is going on. The same Brahman is among human beings, among gods, among space in the sky, among all aquatic animals, in all the plants, and everywhere, whatever you see in all the Karmapala, in the rivers, in the oceans. He is Bruhat, he is all pervasive, he is everywhere. And it's the same one being, one knowledge, one truth that's in everything. He is the self of all. One self dwells in all living beings and all living things. This was like a Ghanta Gosha. And then the third verse, how to prove that one self is in all. Here, linga or a reference or inference is technique is used, a tool of evidence or proof of or inference, like how you look at smoke and you think, okay, there must be fire. Similarly, you see something and from that you infer the truth. How is that done? Okay, he sends the prana and apana up and down the body. What have I written? Linga, a tool of evidence or proof, is used to explain this. He sends the prana and apana up and down the body. You may think lungs are operating. Okay, fine. When you see a person, there is, in breath and out breath, and you may think that the lungs are operating the body. But question, go deeper. Who is operating the lungs? You may say involuntary, it just operates by itself. It's an involuntary action. That's what we have learned in science. But go deeper and say involuntary cannot be the answer, because nothing can happen by itself. There must be something to stimulate for anything to happen. So if the nature of lungs is to keep breathing, why does it stop? So it cannot be its nature. It cannot be just involuntary. Something must be causing this lung, this prana to go in and out. So there must be someone, and Upanishad says the adorable Lord is sitting in the cavity of the heart behind all this. The inert body cannot function on its own unless it's driven by an intelligent, conscious entity. Because all these activities are going on so beautifully, we can infer that there must be an intelligence behind this, and that intelligence is what self is. Verse 4, further inquiry into who is keeping this body going. The indweller of the body, Dehi, who is separated from the body, Okay, yeah, correct. The indweller of the body, the Dehi, who is different from the separate from the body. What remains here? No, I've written it wrong. Okay, the indweller of the body or the Dehi, when he is separated from the body, what remains there? The question is, let's say the two are different, and when the Dehi he leaves the body, what happens? On account of departure of whom is the body dead? We may think it's the prana that left, and hence the body is dead. But unto the fifth verse, neither prana or apana is what's keeping the person alive. It might be true that if the vital air is not there, the body stops breathing, but prana and apana have their vitality because of something else. Because of something else. Who made the prana go in and out, right? Just like who made the lungs function, who made the heart function, they're all just working. Why did the prana stop? There must be some intelligence behind this, and the entity that's controlling the prana and apana, that is the Brahman. So again, here the inference is used, right? There must be something you infer by seeing something. Automatically things are happening, automatically things are stopping. If it was its own nature, it should never stop. If it was to function, if to pumping the heart is its nature, then it should never stop. So the fact that it involuntarily stops says that there is something else that's controlling it, and that inference, that linga, is deriving that it must be conscience. And verse 6 through 8, again unfolding the nature of Brahma in a different way. Verse 6 is simply a question. There is nothing in verse 6. Yama says, I will now tell you a secret, the hidden truth of what happens to the self after death. Verse 7, some people after death enter another human being. There are others, in fact, who become immobile like the trees. So yatha karma tatha shrutam. Depending on the karma that you performed, you will find the next birth. The deliberate voluntary actions, not the involuntary stuff, the deliberate voluntary actions where we had the freedom to use our free will, those deliberate actions, the spirit and the intentions with which we perform, not just the actions, but our intentions behind the actions also define how we are reborn. We have been given many gifts like speech and hands and legs and etc. If we abuse those gifts, we will have corresponding consequences. For example, if you abuse speech, maybe you'll be born as someone who can't speak, like a dumb person. If you abuse your actions, maybe you'll be born as an immobile being, like a tree that doesn't move or walk, right? Our human is the only life, human life is the only life where the free will exists and hence has the ability to acquire papa and punya. 8.4 million types of bodies are there that we can take, and hence choose wisely how you do, what you do, so that you decide what you will be born as in the next life. Hopefully we'll never be born, but destiny is in our hands. If we want a good birth next life, live a good life. All right, verse number 8. Now, from a different reference, Yama is explaining Brahman. Dream is used to illustrate the point here. When the same organs are sleeping, when the sun's organs are sleeping, the self keeps awake. It says actually when others are sleeping, the self keeps awake. Others here means we can take it as sense organs. He is always shining. Self never gets to sleep. He's always shining in his glory. What does he do when everybody is asleep? He creates the desirable objects. He desires, may I become many, and it just happens. Like we create things in our dream. In the waking state, those objects, in the waking state, the object is there, so the desire arises. Yeah, this distinguish Swamiji made, it was kind of interesting. In waking state, we see objects and desire comes. Oh, that sari is so pretty. Oh, this rose plant is so pretty, right? We see objects and the desire arises. But in the dream state, we just think of an object and it appears, right? We don't take any effort to make it. You think and boom, it's there. So similarly, when Bhagavan or Brahman thinks, it just appears. So there is some similarity between Vyashti and Samashti in this sense. We have the ability to create as well. Just as a thought comes, and that gets created in the dream, right? What thought comes, that creation literally happens in the dream. But when we wake up from the dream, that dream world disappears. Similarly, when we wake up from the truth, from the sleep of ignorance, we realize that this world also doesn't exist. This duality also does not exist. We realize there is nothing but the self. That's it.
Good. So I'll again just go over the highlights. So in the first mantra, the city of 11 gates. So we have to do Atman Atma Vivek, how I am in the place of king and everything happens in my presence. All the activities are at the level of Upadhi. I am like that king. I am not involved. Just by my presence, everything happens. So separating that self from non-self. Then in mantra 2, by giving that Vedic mantra, like how in Veda the Homa etc. is being done, using that the how Brahman is the self of all is being explained, and the different elements of a Homa, the Hota and the etc. etc. I'm not going to go over a lot of things, are all told as that is nothing but self. Okay, let me see what I have written. So yes, as you mentioned that just as the cities are many, the self, the king that dwells is only one. So also the bodies are many, but the self that dwells in all the bodies is one. And so here Hansa, what is Hansa? Hansa is said as sun, Shuchi is said as space, Vasu is air. So one who goes about just as sun, just as in space, as air, moves about in space, as Hota in earth, the self of heaven as sun. So what the gist of it is, the self of heaven as sun, and the self of air as space, and the self of earth as Hota, they're all one consciousness. That's what it is telling to. It's all Vedic times when people were very kind of, into all these rituals. And I don't know, for most of us, we are not so much associated with the Hota home, etc. This concept very much now. But so the whole sacrifice, all among all the beings, the gods, born of water, earth, sacrifice everything, born of karma phala, all is that same consciousness. So what is said is self is all pervasive. He alone is everything, not confined. So I am the self of all beings is said here in this kind of example of this Vedic ritual. Then moving on to verses mantras 3 to 5 are contemplation on the nature of self based on the activities of body, how there is this Vamana sitting in the middle and controlling this prana apana activities as if like pumping, Sutradhar pumping up and down. So that is so that's again the way of contemplation. Then verse 4 is like a question that, okay, it's the prana that is controlling everything. So when the prana leaves, the gross body becomes immortal. So somebody may question that where is the self or consciousness? It's the prana who is doing all this. So then verse 5 says, as Pungoji said, sorry, Rachita ji said, that no, prana and apana, they are inert in itself. They cannot operate by themselves. There is someone who gives them life, sentiency. There's somebody else on account of whom they do their activities. And who is that? That is you, the consciousness. So ultimate sequence should end to where? In consciousness, existence, which is self. Six, seven, sorry, verses, yeah, that we talked about verse 5, okay, verses 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that, so now, yeah, in verse 6, Yamaraja talks about another secret that I'm going to tell you about the other secret. So nothing much going on there. Then in verse 7, how some ignorant after death go again to become human. So that the different embodiments is being talked about. Yatha, whatever we contemplate, that is what we become. That is what essentially is said in verse 7. I am referring to different mantra. Yatha karma yatha shrutam. And then again a different way of contemplation using the experience of dream. How in dream, yeah, you essentially covered everything. So how in dream, according to my sankalpa, the creation happens. So also in this Brahman, in this cosmic, the Brahman does a sankalpa and this creation kind of happens. So in dream, mind creates, but in presence of Atma, in presence of consciousness. What is that consciousness? Tadeva Shukram. That consciousness is pure and Tadeva Brahma. That is Brahma. That alone is immortal. So dream state becomes a means of contemplation. The consciousness creates dreams, makes us understand that self is so consciousness creates in this dream state. This makes us understand that self consciousness is pure, immortal, and what is created impure is mortal. All beings rest in them. Creation cannot transcend the creator. So an important point was there is this creator and creation. Creation can never transcend the creator. Universe cannot transcend Brahman, the consciousness. And so the mantras are revealing how self is the self of all, and how Brahman, the limitless, is the self of all beings. Okay, so that was mantras 1 to 8. Now Kopaliji is not here, so I will do mantras 9 to 15. Okay, let me find my notes.
After you do that, oh, that's the last Valli. No, right?
So this is this will be the end of second Valli, and then there will be last Valli.
Could we do the last Valli on Sunday, please? It's for us in US. We had 4 hours of this today, so I think brain is saturated.
Okay, we can take a break and we can do it. I don't know, Sunday or Monday, whatever works for everybody. Sunday would be hard for me because I have got back-to-back sessions. I've got
Yeah, I
4 or
won't be
5
in town
sessions.
also. This Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm out of town. Monday
We
is
can
good.
do on Monday, I guess. Quickly on Monday. So instead of our regular session, just like this, we'll do it on Monday,
Okay.
6 to 7.
Okay. Maybe still Sunday night for us. Okay.
That will work, right? Sunday? Sunday? Or
Yeah.
Monday 4 to 5, also 4 to 5, I don't mind. 4 to 5, so you're 6:30. If that works for everybody, then it's convenient to me at 4 to 5. We
Pongoji,
can
you're on
discuss.
mute.
Yeah, but Monday, we can go up to 8 o'clock. We can't go for 2 hours. It's a working day. It's too much in the morning. If it's one Valli, I think it should not take more than an hour for us.
It's just one Valli. So we'll just stick to one hour. We just I don't know. So just decide what time you want, and then accordingly, I'm fine with either.
Brunda?
I can adjust it. Brindaji?
Maybe she has stepped out. Are you on mute, Brunda? Okay, Lalit ji, what is there anything? Kalai Salvi ji, is there a preference? Morning or evening for you in India time?
Anytime okay.
Anytime okay, Ji.
Okay. All right, then we'll do Monday evening for you, Monday morning for us.
Okay. 4 to 5, that's what we'll keep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, I will go over this now. So now mantras 9 to 15. So now a different sequence is being started. I'm just going to read my notes. So with every form, fire assumes that form. So how how fire takes different roop. Fire is one alone. The principle of fire is one alone, but the same fire appears as many. Rupam, rupam, pratirupo babhuva. And in a similar way, this consciousness is one alone, but as if taking the forms of all the beings, all the upadhi, it appears as many. So this manyness is appearance is talked about in context of fire. Then that same concept is talked with reference to Vayu in mantra 10, that how Vayu having entered different things as if appears many, and same way this self almost having entered, having identified with a different upadhi appears as many. So here Swamiji mentioned the difference between Agni and Vayu. Why two different examples to say kind of the same thing? So let me see what did I write. Okay. So fire is to mention how God has entered the insentient beings, and air is to mention how God has entered sentient beings. So Jad and Chetan, these are the differences that we see in the world. And so for this fire and Vayu are the examples that are being said. Now the question is, if God is the self of all, then all pleasure and pain of everyone, that becomes his. So God becomes a big sansari. So that is being addressed in verse 11. Does self suffer? That is being said in verse 11. Suryo yatha sarvalokasya chakshuhu na lipyate chakshushahi bakyadoshahi. Surya, it is on account of sun itself, everybody sees. So everybody is able to see. We are able to see each other because of whom? Our eyes are able to see because of whom? Because of the light. because of the light of sun. So indirectly, we can say sun is the seer of all. And still, when we see something that we should not see, we get the dosha. But does Surya gets the dosha? No, Surya doesn't get the dosha. He remains asanga. He remains untainted from the papa and punya of whatever we do. And same way, ekas sarva bhutantaratma na lipyate loka dukkhena bhakyah. This body, mind, intellect, whatever it does not get tainted. It does not get tainted by the kartrutva, bhoktrutva of the mind, etc. The consciousness remains untainted. So it doesn't become sansari. And then here Swamiji talked about Sajatya. It remains free from all divisions of Sajatya, Vijatya, Swagata, Bheda. But I don't think we need to go over that a lot in here. So I could skip it. Okay, then verses, wait a minute, where am I? We are in Valli 5, right? 10, 11. Okay, somewhere I lost where my mantra 12 is, but I'm just going to sing. Eko vashi sarva bhut, yeah. Eko vashi sarva bhutantaratma ekam rupam bahuda yah karoti tamatmastam yenu pashyanti dhiraha tesham sukham shashvatah na itaresham. So who gains this limitless happiness? The one who sees that there is only one controller who is uh, there in all of this Bahuda Rupam, in all of these different embodiments. There is one controller himself. So the self that I realize in this Upadhi is that one controller himself, that Ishvara himself. And one, those wise who sees this kind of abidance, who abide in this vision of oneness between the consciousness of between the Aikya of the consciousness, between the Aikya of self and Brahman, they are the one, they sham sukham shashvatam. They enjoy the shashvata sukha, the everlasting happiness, not the others, no itaresham, not the others. So you being what you are, this tainting, etc., should not happen. That was being talked about by saying that you are the Sarva Bhutantaratma. You are being the self of all. That being so, you being in the um, in the you being just like that sun. So you are not being tainted. So that concept of 11, that itself is extended in the verse 12, that the indwelling self of all beings, you are the controller of everything. And who is you? Consciousness. Who is I? Consciousness. What is that consciousness? It is the very substratum that controls the superimposition. So, Asti Bhati Priya is that upon which all the names and forms are superimposed, and it makes one form appears as many. They can retain the inwardness of mind, dwelling in my own mind. People or wise can make the mind free from all the preoccupations and retain that freedom for a length of time. How do they see? Why is this said that they can retain? Because the mantra says tam atmastham. So that part is being explained that Dhiraha can do this tam atmastam. They can abide in Atma, in the self. They can see this vision of themselves as consciousness for a length of time, because they can make themselves free from preoccupations. They can make themselves inward looking. How do
Rachiji,
they? Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Lovely.
Can we stop? It's not going in my head. And I think when Kopalaji comes, maybe he also gets a chance to finish this next week. Yeah,
Let's do that then.
sorry.
We'll stop here. It is too late anyhow. So, and we had back to back. Yesterday was 2 hours, and then today. So let's give our mind a little bit of break and then come back on Monday 4 to 5. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. Nice. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you everyone. Thank you.
Hari Om to all.
Hari Om.